So much for joining us. I'm Myra Ansari with my co-anchor Jose Zozaya. We are covering some breaking news that's unfolding outside the federal courthouse for Brett Hankison's sentencing.
I want to take you out there, Myra. We're going to show you. This is our live camera crew out there. Now, he just panned over, and our thanks, credit to our guy out there, this intersection outside the federal courthouse. But what we just saw was one person get put in handcuffs. Now, the reason, and right now it's hard to tell where they're going to pan back. But I want to point out, Myra, in the last 5 minutes, we hadn't seen this many amount of Louisville police cars now blocking this intersection outside the courthouse. The reason was about even 5 minutes before this, we were seeing people blocking traffic. And there was, in fact, a moment where there's a person, I don't know if we're going to get to see them being put in a police car, but this is a person who jumped on top of a Louisville water truck. Yeah. And that water truck just kept going past the intersection, going wherever the driver was going to go eventually. But that protester, presumably just stayed on top of that truck's hood, didn't let go, eventually jumped off, and now police are here to, I guess, try and put some order to the situation. I don't know which car this, oh, there it is. Yeah, Myra, that is the individual who our camera picked up as jumping, or I missed the exact moment where it happened, but he was on top of the hood.
So basically, kind of an uproar unfolded in our newsroom because we've been monitoring this live feed from outside the federal courthouse. There's been protesters outside for the Brett Hankison sentencing. A Louisville water truck was coming down the road, and it looked like a protester just kind of jumped in front of the water truck, and the water truck proceeded to move forward, which caused quite a bit of panic. And then after that car got through, another red vehicle came through, and a protester got in front of that vehicle as well. So in response to that, Louisville Metro Police, they have, as you can see, increased their presence there. They're trying to control some of that traffic.
I think we're counting at least 5 or 6 Louisville Metro PD cars there, Myra. 5 or 6 SUVs and trucks, and there's even one there where we presume around there is where police took custody of that protester that had jumped on the water truck.
Absolutely. So what we are waiting for, Brett Hankison's sentencing was scheduled for about 1:30 this afternoon. So we don't know the very latest on that.
We don't.
Since this morning, there's been quite a number of people out there protesting in response to the sentencing today. Again, that we don't know what the sentence is yet. So that's just a number of people waiting outside. So many of these protesters have been following this story from the very beginning, since 2020, when Breonna Taylor was shot and killed at her apartment.
And Myra, just for some folks on background, we know heading into today how the judge was really considering a lot of different claims, appeals, motions from Brett Hankison, at least from his own defense counsel. I want to read you just a little bit leading into when we stepped in, or at least we saw people step into the courthouse at around 1:30 this afternoon. But we know kind of what a judge had denied as far as Brett Hankison's attorneys trying to get a new trial based on all this. And I just want to read you a couple of the quotes based on the judge involved. And so basically the judge saying the courts called it a nebulous and disjointed nature of the motion that Hankison's attorneys filed, I should say. As I'm talking, obviously, what you can see is a lot of chatter, a lot of loud voices that our camera microphone is picking up. Again, our cameraman is, I guess, is zooming in on the person that police have in custody right now, who we saw collide with the Louisville water truck. But back to what the judge, who we still don't know what the decision is, because that's still playing out inside the courthouse, in the courtroom right now. But in essence, this appeal that Hankison's lawyers wanted for a new trial heading into today, the judge was not entertaining it. And I'm just reading a couple of those quotes from the judge's denial, is that Mr. Hankison not shown any errors, and even if errors were made, he failed to show that any could be considered flagrant or such seriously affected the fairness or integrity of the proceeding. Now, heading into today, sort of what would sort of help bring all of this attention was the DOJ, the current DOJ's recommendation that Hankison, involved in the case where Breonna Taylor died, that he only receive a 1-day jail sentence. That was the initial uproar.
And that's why there are so many people who are outraged right now. When that bombshell dropped just last week, that no prison time for Hankison, federal prosecutors recommended Hankison get credit for his time served, pay a $100 fine, and serve 3 years of supervised release. So that is why a lot of folks have been outraged at this latest development in all of this. But what we did learn today, that federal judges denied, as you mentioned, Hankison's request for a new trial, saying that Hankison and his team of attorneys, they did not provide any substantial evidence that any errors were made. But a number of folks are out there, as you can see, right outside the federal courthouse. They're recording on their own cell phones. They've been protesting today. Many of them have been chanting
for their respective causes.
Yes, exactly, of their feelings about the very latest in all of this. And when Brett Hankison came into the courthouse today, there was a lot of chanting as well, of folks yelling some things. We can't repeat it on TV, but you probably hear it. But this is a live stream, folks.
Yes.
So just so you know, we can't control what's said over here, but we wanted to bring it to you live.
And for at least to put folks in context for where our photojournalist is set up, again, in a matter of 15 minutes, you saw more members of the media also kind of getting different camera angles of people who kind of were crisscrossing this intersection with bullhorns and with their own camera phones, just, I guess, documenting and expressing their First Amendment right to whatever they're wanting to protest. Although the impetus, again, seems to be the reason they're standing outside, waiting to hear what that decision from the judge is going to be, whether they follow the DOJ's recommendation on a sentencing for Brett Hankison, whether there's another decision made, if other attorneys are arguing a different sentence for him. But definitely now the mood and the tenor has changed outside in downtown Louisville.
Yeah, the reason why we jumped on is because of what just happened about, less than 10 minutes ago?
It feels like less than 10 minutes ago, yes.
A Louisville Water Company truck was coming down on Broadway and literally just looked like he or she was about to mow down a protester.
Mm-hmm.
That's why all of us in the newsroom kind of got up in a panic, like what's going on? Because these protests have been going on for several hours now. But that Louisville Water Company truck, which I'm sure that someone in our newsroom is reaching out to Louisville Water to kind of figure out what's going on with that. The driver was coming down Broadway. A protester was in front of that vehicle, and the protester was standing there, but the vehicle kept going, which could have ended horrifically. So glad that did not happen. And then as that was happening, another car was coming down on Broadway. Another protester got in front of that vehicle. I'm really surprised that there wasn't more of a police presence, Jose, from the very beginning to kind of monitor this. It seems like the police officers kind of all came
after the fact.
Yeah, after the fact. So.
And to your point, Myra, before I guess we initially reacted to just seeing the jarring visual our photographer caught as it was happening.
Yeah.
Maybe you were seeing a couple, and I'm not going to say it was a large amount, maybe 2 or 3 people kind of meandering in the intersection, and I guess that's how they wanted to make their point to traffic, and I don't know what their goal was in saying go somewhere else or make another turn. It was a confrontation, but it wasn't as dangerous as that one we saw with the Louisville water truck was.
Yeah, that kind of got, I'll be honest, a little scary, a little frightening.
No, we thought something could have been much worse.
Much worse. And now it looks like police have blocked off that area in front of the federal courthouse. And you know what? There are already safety measures. If you look there, you can barely see it though. At the bottom of your right-hand side screen, you'll see these giant, there it is.
The stanchions.
The stanchions, yeah. Those are there to kind of protect the courthouse itself and the people there as well. Those were a couple of years ago put into place. So again, a lot of emotions running high right now. Ashley Johnson, just saw your message. If you're joining us, basically this is a number of people that are gathered outside the federal courthouse as we wait for Brett Hankison's sentence today. In just a few minutes ago, we saw a Louisville water truck that was coming down on Broadway. A protester was in front of that vehicle and the car kept going. It looked like, thankfully, that protester was not hurt, but it got pretty scary there for a second. Then another protester got in front of another vehicle as they were coming down Broadway. So things just got a little confrontational there. Thankfully, it didn't look like anyone was hurt. We saw Louisville Metro Police respond fairly quickly.
Within a matter, I'd say a couple, 3 minutes, Myra.
Yeah.
But then you saw just the grouping of them, 7 or 8 different Louisville Metro Police cars, and I didn't know if we caught the moment where the pair of officers took that protester who we saw red.
While you're on here, Jose,
Yes.
I'm going to run into the newsroom and ask our crews if they can cut that video so we can show people what exactly that was that we're talking about.
Sure.
And I'll upload it in here if you can hold on to this for just a second.
Sure thing. And I will let everyone know as they're tuning in right now, it's 2:22 in the afternoon. Our newsroom also just reached out to Louisville Water Company. So our request was just to confirm or reach out for comment because we were able to get enough of a good look at the water truck involved. Whoever was driving it, we don't know that, but just to reach out and say our photographer outside the federal court saw the truck, and there was that contact, that collision with the protester on Broadway. Whatever that number was for the truck, we were able to catch a glimpse of it. Now, waiting for a comment from Louisville Water whenever they are able to let us know at least an explanation, just sort of a public-facing comment right there. So again, if you're just joining us, and I'm joining Myra as we're kind of getting as many details and updates as we can get you, but want to let you know again, if you're just joining us, this is our view from our crew at the federal courthouse on Broadway in downtown Louisville. This all has to do the attention from the crowd gathered protesting what they'd heard. In breaking news from last week was the Department of Justice's recommendation pertaining to former Officer Brett Hankison in the case of Breonna Taylor's death. This is his sentencing. It started at around 1:30. From what we know, protesters have been outside all morning, partially chanting Breonna Taylor's name, also chanting about other respective causes that they support. As a reminder, Hankison was federally convicted of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights in that raid that ultimately led to her dying in March of 2020. Just last week, the U.S. Department of Justice recommended no prison time for Hankison. And they also were recommending, federal prosecutors recommending that Hankison get credit for time served, pay a $100 fine, and serve 3 years of supervised release. So that was from the DOJ, what they were hoping to bring to a judge this afternoon, as it all started at around 1:30. Now, a jury back in the initial trial phase said that Hankison violated Taylor's civil rights when he had blindly shot her. Oh, I believe we had just lost feed from our cameras, so we'll bring this back to us as I'll bring it back to us. It's okay. It's live. It's live streaming. That's what happens. Hi, Myra.
Hey.
So as you're checking in on this, I might be able to find. Do you know what video we were looking for?
That's what I was doing. Hold on a second.
Gotcha.
I'll let you
Is it this one right there?
No.
No.
Not.
Water. This might be it.
Yes.
Okay, let's open that up for you.
So, folks, we want to show you this video that we've been referencing here.
Okay, I'm going to bring that up right now.
Okay.
And so based on, I guess we can keep replaying it, Myra, but it seems that that truck, I don't know if it was coming straight down from Broadway, but it seems, it just was not wanting to stop for that protester. Let me bring back our live feed.
But that is the protester. Let's stay on this video.
Yes,
let's stay on this.
It'll stay looping, so you're seeing what's going on. There's a woman there off the side, and I believe there you see the protester slamming on the hook.
Yeah, and that is the protester that was taken into custody as well. So this is the incident that started here. You can see that the protester there in the red tank top was blocking the way of the Louisville Water Truck Company, and this is what's kind of started it. Most of the confrontation, I would say.
And now the police presence that was about to just stem any of that from here on out.
Yeah, but this got a little scary, right,
absolutely.
Jose? Because it just seemed like people have the right to protest, but keeping protests peaceful is very important. We don't want to see anyone get hurt.
Well, it's and I don't know if that brings up the conversation, Myra, of like when you're able to, I guess, reserve, or it's that conversation with city over like a planned protest, and if you're going to occupy a certain part of any piece of property for a time, and then police would plan accordingly, and then they would perhaps tell any car traffic to like, okay, right now they're going to move out in a couple hours or whatever, so just, this is a detour and you can move around. This obviously wasn't the case because we didn't see, at least a police officer indicating or trying to talk to the protesters about like, really, we should look at a different option.
And you can see the person in the red tank top is very emotional, very, they're it into it. The person in the white dress that you see there seems like they're trying to stop. There's another person
that's a losing
too.
battle. That's a losing battle.
They're trying to get the vehicle to stop, but that obviously did not work out. So this is what kind of started all of it here this afternoon.
Do you want me to bring it back
Let's go back to the live feed? But there's also, Jose, we don't have video of it right now. I can ask them to cut that. But there was another vehicle that a protester got in front of. I don't know if it was the same protester or if it was someone else, but there was another situation. Similar to that.
I'm wondering, our photographer's just getting a view of, I guess that's the other part of the intersection on that side of the block where the courthouse is, and no, there's no sidewalk traffic. No one's, unless he's trying to look. Okay, now I see what he's zooming into. So you see there's more police cars that have blocked off any traffic to come down that intersection.
Okay, so they're blocking that off as well. Okay, let me find out from our management if we can get some of that other video cut as well of the second vehicle that was coming through. But again, this is all connected to Brett Hankison's sentencing today. The protesters have been out there for quite some time today. Things were fairly peaceful. Even protesters early in the day, I was commenting to our assignment desk, like, wow, there's people standing out in the streets. I hope they'll be okay. They're not wearing any type of a safety vest or anything. Things were fairly calm. And then about, I would say, 2:10, 2:15 is kind of things when it unfolded to get a little bit more dicey this afternoon with that protester who jumped in front of the Louisville Water Company vehicle. The driver kept going, and then another person, or there was another individual that jumped in front of a second car.
Do you remember what that car looked like, Myra, after the Louisville Water truck?
I feel like it was all unfolding so fast, but I feel like it was a red vehicle of some sort, but I'm not sure, and I don't know if it was that same protester in the red tank top that got on. So we're going to try to get some clarity on that. But the person in the red tank top was taken into custody.
Yes, we did see at some point, I guess, I don't know how else to describe, and just sort of, understanding that police were going to take them into custody, and then you could just hear them exchanging kind of, a louder chant with the larger crowd, and then that protester was kind of taken behind. What we saw was one of the bigger work trucks that LMPD brought to the scene. Where that person, if they're sitting in the back of the police car or if they were taken to detention, that we don't know at this point.
And we have reached out to Louisville Water to kind of understand why that vehicle kept going. We even noted the truck number, so we have reached out to Louisville Water. Hopefully we'll get some answers on that. We have a newscast in about 30 minutes, so I'm hoping that we can bring people some more information. We saw in 2020, after Breonna Taylor, after she died, how things got so intense in our community. And I think some of those emotions... Does
this bring back shadows of that?
Yes, it does. It does. I mean, I think that shadow will always hang over our community, right? It'll never go away. But I think today it's a little bit more heightened.
And Myra, if you could just enlighten me, just because... I wasn't here physically, but obviously it's a story that gained so much attention nationwide, but here you are living it at a much more visceral level. Obviously, there's some tangibility for all the folks that are here outside because they've never stopped following this case, but then sort of where passions really escalated, and it just creates, this kind of confrontation.
Sure, let's go back to this video.
I'll bring you back to that.
Again, some of the emotions that you're seeing here, the frustrations, just a fraction of what we saw in 2020. It did feel like it was all during the pandemic. It was all very raw for us here in the community. But to see some of that come out again today, it kind of shakes you, because I think we know how dark things got back then, for a lack of a better word, how scary it got in our community, and how hurt our community was.
Yeah.
So this kind of brings all of that back.
And here we're just looking at a replay, Myra, and I've just been chatting with our digital team. I had asked someone if they could take a closer look. Okay, I'm learning someone is clipping the car that, the second car that you noticed, kind of met with a protester. And it seems they were both going in that direction of traffic, Myra?
Yeah,
so is that heading westbound?
They were heading west. So this is like going in the direction, leaving the downtown area, going into West Louisville, the direction that they're in. But this is right in front front of the federal courthouse. So again, we've tried to figure out why this driver continued to go through. The person obviously banging on the hood of the car put themselves in front of the vehicle, but the vehicle kept going. So just
which
a
I'm not
bad
sure.
Combination
Yeah,
of
and I'm
two
not
things.
sure if anyone among leadership at LMPD would explain what the exact citation is going to be. If that's something as simple as like blocking traffic, maybe someone could tell me the exact citation, but we'll A, they were going to have proof of that, and B, it was going to be a losing proposition.
Absolutely. We have a number of you folks that are joining us here on this stream. So this is the incident that kind of triggered things to get out of hand here in front of the federal courthouse. We are waiting to learn the sentence for Brett Hankison for his role in the botched raid of Breonna Taylor's case. So again, just some highlights from some of the things that we know today. That there have been protesters all morning long. They've been chanting Breonna Taylor's name. Hankison was federally convicted of violating Taylor's civil rights during the botched raid that ultimately led to Taylor's death back in March of 2020. Just last week, I think what threw a lot of people for shock was the U.S. Department of Justice. They dropped that bombshell saying they recommended no prison time for Hankison. So federal prosecutors, they recommended that Hankison get credit for the time served, pay a $100 fine, and serve 3 years of supervised release. And of course, that outraged a lot of people here in the community. So the jury said that Hankison violated Taylor's civil rights, when he blindly shot into her apartment in 2020. The U.S. Probation Office previously recommended a prison sentence of up to 14 years. So you think about that, up to 14 years versus 1 day. So
and then the fine of the supervisory probation, if I'm not mistaken, right, Myra? Is something about probation release?
Absolutely.
Let me just bring it back really quick, and you could see at least visually, it's calmed down, although I have to imagine the mood, the tension is probably palpable, the kind like you could feel it in the air.
I think it's probably calmed down.
Yes.
But wow, 10, 15 minutes ago, that was a much different scene. And again, we were commenting kind of how surprising there wasn't a heavier police presence outside.
At least not initially.
Not initially. After the fact, we saw a number of police cars move in. Maybe they were in the area anticipating it because they did respond fairly quickly. But it did not seem like traffic was blocked off.
No.
They blocked traffic off after that protester jumped in front of the vehicle. So that's what we know today. But a federal judge today has denied Hankison's request for a new trial, saying that Hankison and his team of attorneys, they have not provided any substantial evidence that any errors were made. So right now, so they're going to try to work on that other piece of video.
And so we're probably texting the same folks at our digital desk that they were trying to be. Okay, I'm being told it should be there, so we're just refreshing. If nothing else, I can always check a couple different folders, but it might just take some time to fully get there.
Okay, and again, folks, you're looking at a live feed from outside the courthouse. People have been there for several hours now, so this has been kind of going and growing as well.
Yes.
And as we get closer to finding out what the sentence is recommended by the judge, I think things are getting a little heated out there. But now you can see Broadway in front of the federal courthouse is closed or blocked off to traffic.
Okay, I'm just, as we're talking live here, I'm just making sure that I can find the right folder for this stuff. Okay, we do have it here, Myra, so I'm going to load that for you. This is this file here. This is going to be the, oh no, that's unfortunate.
Okay, try it again.
It's an MP error, so I may just ask them
to send it again.
It may just not have finished fully exporting. Could be it. It's possible.
Okay, now it looks like the police cars are leaving. So maybe this is
time to calm things down.
Yeah.
We appreciate, of course, our photographer. I don't know if that's Mark out there getting all these images for us, so we appreciate him.
Yeah, maybe things have calmed down. It looks like they did take that suspect, the protester, into custody, so we'll wait to find a little bit more about that. I'm sure we've reached out to LMPD, and we've also reached out to Louisville Water as well to kind of figure out.
All right, now I believe the file. Never. Okay, I do have that now, Myra.
Okay, let's go.
So let's bring this up, and you can walk us through the scene.
This is the second vehicle.
This is a red Kia, I guess, was the one after. There it is.
Oh,
and
okay.
look at that.
It is the same protester.
So I don't know if police got wind of that part, but now it's not just one, but two cars where this one protester, I guess, thought they were going to make a statement and, prevent that car from moving forward. Although I don't know now how fast or how slow that driver in the red Kia moved away past the intersection, but our cameras trained on the protester involved in both of these interactions with the truck. And yeah, they're obviously emotionally quite on an adrenaline rush right there.
Yeah. So basically, this protester who's in the red tank top got in front of a Louisville water vehicle that was coming through the intersection and kind of got right on top of that vehicle,
yeah.
Pounding on it as well. And the Louisville water vehicle kept moving through. And once that passed through, this protester in the red tank top got in front of another vehicle. It was a red vehicle.
A red Kia, yes.
Yeah, got in front of that car as well. That suspect was taken into custody.
And so here's a longer clip, I will say, much longer than the first interaction with that Louisville water truck. It's going to go like another 2.5 minutes here,
yeah.
Myra. And okay,
and
so because what you're seeing now
yeah.
is the police cars coming to block off the intersection.
So the response was
relatively fast.
A little bit surprising that there wasn't a heavier presence beforehand, but they did respond fairly quickly, and
They're
here
coming
they
from the
are
other side.
Blocking off the traffic.
I don't know if context clues here, Myra, tell us that, who knows, we couldn't see it on camera, but the driver of that red Kia, maybe even the driver of the Louisville water truck, had told an officer on another intersection and another block. But here we're seeing
Here's
them.
another person.
Okay, so who you're seeing here, Myra, this was before we saw kind of the scare of the confrontation with the cars. This was a woman with her bullhorn was kind of meandering through the intersection and sort of, in her own way, confronting cars so as to tell them to not come through the intersection.
Okay.
What she was saying, I don't know. Our cameras were able to see her with a bullhorn, and obviously it seems like she was part of the protest, or at least there to express her opinions about what was happening inside of the courthouse.
Okay. All right.
And what we're seeing here is perhaps and now there was a cutaway there. I'm hoping at some point we're going to see the clip again. That is where the police officer takes the protester in the red tank top into custody.
Okay, all right. I know, folks, this says live there at the very top of your screen, but this is what happened about 20, 30 minutes ago
so
outside
right now
the federal courthouse.
If it's 2:39 right now, let's say 2:15?
Yeah, about 2:15. This is what happened outside. This protester was taken into custody. Again, no word yet on the sentence for Brett Hankison. That's what we are waiting for. That's where a lot of emotions are running high outside right now, the federal courthouse. So much heartache surrounding this case in our community. And that heartache is very clear that it's still being felt by people here.
Yes, and to the point, Myra, where it's drawn enough. Obviously, it's a case that we know drew just attention and so much emotional investment from so many people. Even now we're 5 years removed from when Breonna Taylor died. But over the weekend and perhaps just the commentary we'd heard from many in Metro leadership and others who had been advocating for justice or some sort of punishment for those involved in what happened to Breonna Taylor. They'd been, I don't know how big the group of protesters was to start this morning, but we know there was a presence pretty early today, well before Brett Hankison showed up, and to be there in court for the judge to make their decision on what was going to be the sentence. So again, what you're seeing here is the beginning of the replay, and this was the second confrontation, because the first one involving the same protester was with the Louisville water truck. So you can imagine just the size discrepancy is pretty scary, and the speed at which the truck was moving.
I'm going to go back to that.
So you can click that right there.
Okay, so this is the first confrontation that happened, and
I can switch it. There it is. Yes, thank you, Myra. You had it.
So that is how it kind of all started to kind of unravel there in front of the courthouse.
And so you see the truck speeds away, quite fast, I would say, just to get away from that initial confrontation.
It wasn't a miracle, though. No one was hurt.
And not just the protester in the red tank top, but although eventually the two women to the sides around the headlights, Myra, I think they understood this wasn't going to be a winning proposition. Like I keep saying, just when you have that much in a big giant car like that, you're the vulnerable one if you're the one at street level.
Absolutely. And then right after that is what we saw this unfold. I'm going to cue this video up, Jose. And then right after that, Louisville Water Truck Company goes through. You see it, that same protester.
Smaller, but it's still a red car
Yes.
trying to move through.
So, and then shortly after that is when we saw police move in and take this protester into custody. Thankfully, now it seems like things are calm. It looked like.
I guess we can show you
Yeah,
a
let's
little
take people
bit.
back outside live.
There we go.
Okay, so right now, just folks kind of waiting on the steps there. Things are quiet, a little bit more calm. Folks just kind of waiting on the sentence. It looked like earlier that the police presence has kind of faded from that area as well.
And so it could be interesting to see whenever we do get a look from behind where the camera is to look at the intersection.
Yeah.
And so again, it's a developing situation. I have to imagine, Myra, as you go get ready for Wave News at 3, that our team out there is going to keep the camera rolling just to see if anything changes. Maybe the closer we get out there, you'll have a chance to walk people through kind of those clips we've been able to separate just to give people that context of what is it that drew that group of officers to kind of put order after those two car confrontations.
And just so folks know, in federal court, we cannot have cameras in the courtroom.
That's why we're still waiting
outside. So it's going to take a minute when that verdict comes in for our crews inside the courthouse to come down because they don't even have access to their phones, right? So
no, it's pen and paper and anything you can come outside and relay those notes. That's
so
it.
we'll get all that. Jose, if it's okay with you, I'm going to get ready for the 3 o'clock newscast. Sure. If you want to hang tight here, or I can.
No, you go right ahead because the day doesn't stop, and Myra has other responsibilities too. So, again, I want to bring people up to date. If you're just joining us at 2:53 this afternoon, so right now, what our crew out there is waiting for is just to get that initial impression. The reason that we, of course, are outside of the federal courthouse, but so are this group of protesters, advocates, just in general people who've been gathering outside, is to find out what a judge rules or decides is a sentence for Brett Hankison. If you remember, Brett Hankison involved had been, found guilty by a jury not too long ago, a couple of years ago, of violating Breonna Taylor's civil rights, and this dates back to the case from 2020 where the raid had occurred. Breonna Taylor died, and at least based on the evidence that prosecutors back then had provided, that Hankison had fired, and then sort of the legal back and forth between Taylor's boyfriend and the then officer, and the threats and dangers posed on each prospective side in a court of law. Ultimately, though, the jury agreed, at least back then, that Hankison was guilty, and so what's at least generating so much attention today was the update last week that the current DOJ recommended that Brett Hankison only receive 1 day in jail, and then I believe there were a couple other recommendations for punishment: credit for time served, $100 fine, 3 years of supervised release. And so that has seemed to drawn out perhaps a more vocal group of critics who don't agree with that recommendation from the Department of Justice. And as we kind of saw, at least from this vantage point, from where our photographer was standing at around 2 o'clock, because by that point, everyone who needed to be inside the courtroom had already gone in. The hearing started at 1:30. Maybe we were just hearing a couple more voices on bullhorns and just sort of general chanting right on the street corner. But things seem to kind of escalate from the standpoint of when maybe 2 or 3 that we could see on our camera, people were kind of meandering in the intersection, just kind of walking back and forth, and perhaps trying to deter drivers and cars from coming through that intersection on Broadway. At some point, and we can show you again just a replay of some of the video that our cameras were able to get. So I'm going to show you the first video here. And so what you're seeing here is that kind of that first confrontation that scared us, understandably so, watching this play out live in our office, in our newsroom, was that protester and just sort of the driver of this Louisville water truck still trying to come through traffic. Presumably there was a green light, we're not sure based on the angle, but still trying to come through, and that protester just not letting go from the hood. I'm not sure if what I'm hearing are horns in that clip or live horns from our camera feed live. And then the next clip is a second confrontation involving that same protester with this smaller red Kia, but still it's car versus person, and just the person not stepping aside. And I guess that driver was just waiting for that to clear up so they could move forward. And I might scrub a little bit forward as because we can do that with this system. What you're noticing here is, again, there's not just protesters, perhaps some people documenting with cameras eventually getting into the crosswalk part of the intersection. But at some point within the minute that red Kia had gone past the protester, here you see on one side one set of officers in their car. Here we had another set of police cars come in, and now this is very much just to block the intersection and to calm things down. And presumably, so I don't know if the conversation here was to detain this woman who, with her bullhorn, was trying to deter traffic from coming through, even though traffic was never blocked off. It was never cordoned off or told to drivers that they had to find a detour. So we'll have to wait to see what the case is with her. And I believe as we shift a little further, I'm going to fast forward here. You're seeing this officer put this protester in custody in the handcuffs there. We're not sure at 2:47 if they took this protester to jail or some other detention situation, but presumably the officers had heard kind of what happened and believing that the protester was in the wrong. And so we're just going to scrub forward and to see kind of, at this point, this was this set of Louisville Metro police officers are sort of telling everyone who had kind of been close to the crosswalk to step away, get on the sidewalks, and to sort of, now really traffic wasn't going anywhere, but just to say now we've got to calm things down and just keep people's cool, because obviously we still don't know what the situation is given the sentence and the decision by the judge inside the federal courthouse. So thanks again if you've joined us on this live stream, breaking live stream from Wave News and on Wave Now, of course. What I might do as we're sort of just kind of going through some different bits of business, and obviously we're going to get you the updates from outside of the federal courthouse. I'm going to take a quick break just to take care of some other business. Make sure to tune in at 3 o'clock. Myra's going to have the very latest with the team, another live look from that camera outside the federal courthouse. So if you make sure to join us on Wave News at 3, we'll make sure to get you those updates. This is Jose Sosaya signing off from the Wave Now studio. Appreciate everyone joining us, and all the updates we're going to send you on our app and on our website. Thank you.